Those of you who are mothers and fathers probably know very well what annoying perseverance is all about. Many of you have gotten frazzled at times when your child says, please, 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 can I have that cookie, please? They just keep going until you finally say, yes, okay, you can have the cookie. Leave me alone. Well, the persevering widow in the gospel, persevering with this judge, has a much weightier and more serious request than a cookie. It's really, she's seeking justice for herself. And this corrupt judge finally gives in to her. The real key player in this gospel is the widow, not the judge. She is the image of God. And so the gospel message here is, anyone who strongly resists injustice and perseveres in denouncing it until justice and right is finally gotten, that person is acting like God. And so is God-like. You read the Scriptures, Old and New Testament, God is always there seeking justice through the prophets and so on for the poor, the widows, the orphans, those who are treated unjustly. So the parable here is not about wearing down a reluctant God. It's not about that at all. It's about each one of us who is called, through the example of this widow, to act like God, even against bad odds at times. This widow had bad odds. In her society, she was the bottom rung of the ladder. She had no rights, no hope, no nothing. But she persisted anyway, because she knew what was just and what should be done. And so when we persist, even against bad odds for justice to be done, we are godlike. And that kind of perseverance means we must also persevere in prayer. Because it is through prayer that we come to know the God of love and justice. And so our prayer, our persevering prayer, helps us to change our base of security from just ourselves to God. So we become more God-centered as we persevere in prayer. And so we come to know the God of love and justice. And He leads us to perseverance for justice out of love. So perseverance in prayer is the foundation in our lives as followers of the Lord for perseverance for justice. There was a middle-aged man who went to see a guru of prayer. And he said he did all the right things. He prayed often. He did everything his religion asked him to do. But he found his prayers weren't being answered, and he didn't really find God. So he wanted to know what to do to pray better. Well, it was a hot day. So the guru took him down to the river, and they went in the river for a swim. And as they were swimming in the river, the guru put his hand on this man's head and pushed him on the water and held him there. Well, he did what any of us would do. He fought to get out of that underwater to get back up. And so he held him there just long enough that he'd get the message, and then he let him go. And up he came, gasping for air. And so the guru said, "How did you feel when you were underwater like that, when I was holding you? What did you want most?" He said, "Air, air, that's what I wanted." the Guru said, my son, pray like you wanted that air. Hang in there and want God with all you've got. And be ready to gasp Him in, to take Him in whenever you can. That's perseverance in prayer. Wanting God above all else. And so we persevere in prayer in one special way by gathering here regularly around this table of the Lord, so that we can be nourished and we can be strengthened by the Lord, so that we won't give up in the face of injustice, but rather persist in seeking justice, at times even risking for justice when needed. And when we do that, when we do persist and seek justice, as this widow was seeking, and as a persevering person does, then God's ways become more our ways also. And then we become more clearly, like the persistent widow, the image and likeness of God to one another. That image and likeness that we were created to be.